Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name is Ash, aka Ghostbuster, and big thank you to everyone who's been checking out our content recently. Literally, as this video is going live this week, we'll hit 900 review videos, and I don't know how I've done it. Big thanks to everyone who's chipped into some of them as well. It's been amazing that we've been able to pump out so much content for you over the last sort of like 3 years or so. But this is the last review roundup I think I'm going to be doing for 2023. And I'm only doing it because, oh my god, October and November have been mad for video games. I've had so many I've been playing, and honestly, I was trying to do separate review videos for them all, but a lot of people were not too impressed when I was pumping out 3 videos a day. Like, I can see the stats, there's lots of watchers, but subscribers clearly don't want that much content every day. So I'm going to compile a chunk of them here as a sort of celebration of the 900th review video drop-in. There's a whole host of different games here that I've been playing across a variety of different platforms. And yeah, if you enjoy these games, you like the look of them, please check them out. I will put a link to each of them in the description, to each of the store pages on their respective platforms. And a lot of these are indie dev games, so please support them. These guys do a fantastic job, whether the game is of interest to you or not. But thank you to all of them, and thank you to all of the indie devs, the publishers, the PR companies, everything like that who have been working with us over the last couple of years, sending us codes and just supporting us in general to help the channel grow. It means a lot to us, and we love covering games in any capacity, whether it be reviews, streams, and stuff like that. So before we go into our big Christmas break, where there'll still be content coming, but it'll be on a lighter schedule, I thought let's have one last big blowout and look at a whole host of cool games. So let's jump right in, guys. Okay, one of the games I played this week was VISCO Collection. Now, this released onto the Xbox on the 26th of October 2023. It's developed by Pixel Heart and published by Cubite Interactive, and I was looking to send a copy by them, so big thank you to them for that. Now, Cubite have done a whole host of like retro re-releases recently. I've covered quite a lot of them. They've all been really good, and a lot of them are games I've never honestly played. So this is a collection of 7 classic arcade games, each that have been like remastered and enhanced for modern systems. So there's 7 totally different games here, and I'd played a couple of them. I played Andro Dunos previously, and Neo Drift Out, and I really love Neo Drift Out. It's like an isometric rally game. It's fantastic. But there's also Bang Bead, Captain Tomaday, which is like an awesome shooter, Flip Shot, Ganryu, which is like a side-scrolling beat-em-up, and Goal, which, if you haven't guessed it, is a arcade football or soccer game for you guys out there. And it's an awesome little collection. Now, it's weird and wonderful how they're all in here. I'm not sure what the sort of reason that they're all together. I don't know if they're all made by the same developer originally or something like that. But there's a nice little variety here that covers everyone's taste. Now, I'm a huge shmup fan, so like Andro Dunos and Captain Tomaday and stuff like that really scratch the itches of retro for me. But I really enjoyed playing Ganryu as well. Now, the ones I was least bothered about was Bang Bead. It was like a 1v1 fighter, and I wasn't that fussed about it. And Goal, just because I'm not that bothered about soccer or football, especially retro soccer games. They've never aged that well, in my opinion. But the game is priced at $16.74 on Xbox, playable on Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S, and it has 2-player local multiplayer on games that support it. It's also optimized for Series X and S consoles as well, and it's obviously available on other platforms. You're looking at like PC, Switch, and PlayStation. So great out the bat retro goodness with lots and lots of variety for all you retro lovers out there. Okay, here's a game that I was never expecting to get into, but I played it and I quite enjoyed it. This is Heavy Duty Challenge, the off-road truck simulator. Now, this released onto Xbox on the 14th of the 9th, 2023, developed by Nano Games and published by Aerosoft, who were kind enough to send me a copy for this review, and it's playable on Xbox Series X and S console only. It's also available on other platforms, but there is no Xbox One version. Now, this opened my eyes to something I did not know, that there are an official Europa truck, league, where you basically drive your big, beefy boy, meaty trucks up dangerous and hard terrains as quick as you can to get to the top, basically. And this is an off-road sports simulation game in the extremist of it, where you'll drive real licensed trucks in a championship event held in authentic locations from France, Germany and Poland. Now, this won't be for everyone, I 100% know that, but if you're into your trucks, you're into things like that, you'll be happy to know that this game is using the official license from the Europa Truck Trial League, which sounds amazing. It features 12 of the trucks from that series in all their glory, including their interior views, so all of their dashes and stuff like that. You start the game with an IFA W50 2-axle, I know what that means, but I'm going to say it just so I sound smart. And you'll eventually be able to get things like a Ural 375D, Mercedes-Benz Actros, ZIL 131 and others. Now, you'll be able to buy these trucks as you progress through the game, upgrade their capabilities and stuff like that, and manage them between the different events. And you also have to maintain them, repair damage on them and stuff like that to make sure they run at the sort of best capabilities they are able to. Gameplay wise, this is a bit like Mudrunners. It's like the Dark Souls of truck driving competition games. It is hard. It will beat you down if you do not know what you're doing. But it features realistic physics. It features all that sort of thing, so you have to really put your truck in the right place and sort of turn and make sure you're driving on the exact spot you need to be. But oh my god, it feels realistic. I've never driven a truck in my life, but it feels like I'm driving a truck. I feel like I've had a workout and I've earned getting to the end of these environments. So they've done a really, really cool job with it. It, like I say, it won't be for everyone though, by far. And it is a little buggy. It has been patched since launch, but it is still a little buggy. But for fans of the Europa League, Truck League and stuff like that, you'll get an absolute kick out of it. Fans of truck simulators and Mudrunner, SnowRunner, etc., this is more of it. Aerosoft do these type of games as good as can be. Now, on Xbox Series X and S, it's priced at $29.24. And it's optimised, obviously, because it's only on those consoles. But it's also available on PlayStation and Steam as well. Okay, another retro game I've played this month is Project Blue by 8-Bit Legit. Now, this got released on the 6th of October 2023. It's out on Switch and Xbox. I played it on Xbox. It's playable on Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S. And this is basically a port of a modern NES game. So, from what I gather, this can actually be played on NES consoles. You can actually buy a cartridge or the emulator and run it as if it is a proper NES game, which is fantastic. Now, we've covered some of 8-Bit Legit's games in the past, and they're all fantastically retro greatness. And this is another one of them. Now, you'll play as this kid who's basically escaped from this secret bioweapons lab where they've been doing unspeakable experiments on you. There's not a lot to the plot other than the text given at the beginning. It's very much one of those action platformers where you've got to sort of jump, swim and blast your way through a variety of different areas. Now, there's 4 different areas to work through, and these areas are absolutely huge. I think there's over 250 separate single screen rooms to get through while you're playing. Woo! Full of secrets, hidden areas as well, so it's worth exploring and finding them. It looks great. There's not a lot of fluff to it. It's literally just the core game, and with remapped controls, obviously for Xbox pads over NES pads, and also borders to obviously make it run at the resolution you want it on your 4K TV. But graphically, it looks just like a NES game would look like in HD. The sound is fantastic, and it also has that old school retro rock hardness to it. So if you want an actual challenge to a game, get this. Like, it will break you at times. Now, there are multiple difficulties. If you want to be like me and not get pounded into the ground by every single like trap and enemy you see, there are easier levels, and depending on which level you pick, the layouts and like the different rooms will change, which is, I think, is quite cool. So it does give you a reason to have a bit of replayability playing across the different difficulties as well. Now, overall, it's really, really enjoyable, if not controller throwing annoying at times. You know the drill with retro games, and it's not a negative for them. That's just how they played. They were harder to make them last longer because the actual runtime is a lot shorter if you just blitz through them. But I really enjoyed this. It's fun, it's old school, they've done an absolute fantastic job as always. A fantastic soundtrack with 22 original songs for the game. Beautiful visuals, and I really want to play it on an original like NES. I think that'd be fantastic. I'm gonna have to dig it out and see if I can get a copy myself. But other than that, guys, check it out. It's available right now on Xbox, priced at a fantastic price of £7.99. Okay, next up is a very, very, very unique game that I've been playing on the PS5 recently, and that is Paper Beast Enhanced Edition. Now, this had previously released just as Paper Beast back in 2020. I know it's available on Steam, but they've now brought out an Enhanced Edition onto the PlayStation 5, taking full advantage of the PSVR 2 controller and the power of the PS5 with like 4K resolution. You've got HDR, better textures, and obviously the PSVR 2 headset being lovely jubbly. Now, this is a weird little unique puzzle exploration adventure game. And basically, you are like in this unique world that's been created inside the internet where all the animals are like made out of paper and such things. It doesn't make a lot of sense like in how it's presented, but it's a beautiful little game where you basically have to help these paper-based animals to their destination to progress the story across a variety of different levels. Now, the campaign will take about 4 hours, and it also features a sandbox mode where you can basically have a play, do what you want and stuff like that, with an increased number of creatures and stuff like that. Now, this game is really interesting, and you have to sort of interact with the environment by manipulating it, sort of maybe diverting streams. You have to get this fire rock to like melt ice so they can get past and stuff like that, slamming like terrain and making it grow and minimize and stuff to help them walk through all sorts of obstacles. And it's really, really interesting. Sometimes you feel like you're not doing a lot, you're sort of just along for the ride, but then there's others that are quite tricky where you have to really have a like walk around and explore and stuff like that and sort of figure everything out. Now, it's really, really cool. It does take a bit of thinking. It's from Eric Chahi, if I've pronounced that right, who was the creator of From Dust and Another World. And like I say, on the PS5, it is buttery smooth. It's fantastic. So there's better lighting effects, there's detailed textures, there's even better sand and water physics, and you don't actually have to play it with the VR headset. I've only played it with the headset because it seems like it's built for VR, but you don't have to play it with the headset if you really don't want to. It also has binaural sound for total immersion as well. I don't know what that means, but it sounds absolutely fantastic, doesn't it, guys? But overall, like I say, it's a really unique little indie game with like gorgeous graphics, interesting controls, and an interesting premise. And like I say, you're going to get like 4 or so hours out of the campaign, and then even more out of the sandbox mode, which is where I sort of spent most of my time once I completed the story mode. But overall, it's really, really interesting. There's also collectibles to find, and these collectibles do unlock things in sandbox mode as well, so it does give you a bit more replayability as well. So I highly recommend checking it out. Now, this is normally priced at $19.99. It's currently on sale until the 20th of December 2023. Now, if you've not got PS Plus, you can get it for $15.99. Or if you've got PS Plus, you can get it for $13.99. And at that price, it's an absolute steal and a must-buy for PSVR owners, PSVR 2 owners, should I say, who enjoy puzzle-based games because it's such a great little experience. Okay, next up is a game that I'd honestly not played the original one of. This is Valthirian Arc Hero School Story 2. And if you've never played the original, don't worry, you can play this one without ever of having to have played that one, which is great. And this is basically a game where you basically run, like as a headmaster, a hero school. So you have to build this school up, you have to enroll students, train them in all the different sort of RPG-esque roles, and send them out into the wild world, basically. Now, I kind of like this game. It's a bit of a mixed bag. There's obviously the management aspect of it where you oversee the school, you build up the faculties and stuff like that, building more buildings, and you have to see what sort of students you can have and decide like where to allocate them to which classes and stuff like that. But once you sort of get the grips of it after a handful of hours, it does become pretty straightforward from then on. Now, on top of the management aspect, you also obviously have this student roster, and they don't stick around forever. They sort of spend a few years, I think it's 3 years, they'll stay, and then they graduate and disappear. And at the end of like each of the terms and stuff like that, if your characters, like your students, are free and able to, you can send them out to do like questing, and this feels like old school, like Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy style questing around an environment to obviously bring in rewards, which then help you obviously build up your school even more. Now, there's also some mini games on offer here as well. Now, the mini games, you don't really have to do them, but they do give you like decent perks, so they kind of become essential when you're playing them. There's like a swimming competition, there's like an eating one and stuff like that. And all in all, like I say, barring the sort of loop getting a little repetitive the further you get into the game, it is a really well made little game. Now, graphically, it has this cute, like, chibi style look to it, like the big fat round heads, little dumpy bodies and stuff like that. It has a really nice style to it. I love the UI. I think the colours, the soundtrack and everything are absolutely fantastic. And I'm a huge sim sort of management fan. I love stuff like that. So that side of the game was much more interesting to me than going out and doing the RPG sort of turn-based battling side. But it does break the game up a little bit as well. Now, there is a lot of content to this game, and it doesn't, like I say, it doesn't throw everything at you all at once. It doesn't, like, overwhelm you. It's not super complicated, but on the bad side, then if you're into your, like, really into your, like, management games, there isn't a lot to it. There's not a lot of student management. There's not a lot of, like, school building and management in that sense. So it's definitely, like, a fine line between, like, interesting for someone and being a bit grindy for others. But I really enjoyed it. Now, it's available on pretty much all consoles. I played it on Xbox, and it was released on the 14th of the 9th, 2023, published by P-Cube Limited, who were kind enough to send me a copy for this review. Now, it's not the most in-depth game you're ever going to play. You do have a load of like different students and stuff like that, which is great, but you do sometimes end up with really rubbish students, which then like puts you out of sync of how you want to be and where you want to go with your school, so you have to really sort of get used to adapting to what's thrown at you. It is only single player, which is a downside, but it works really well. It's playable on Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S consoles, and it's priced at a very fair price of £16.99. So if you want a fun little school management and turn-based combat style game with, like, not the best of stories, it's a very lax sort of story. It's just about growing your school and stuff like that, with a slight bit of grind to it, you couldn't go wrong with this game. Like I say, it's a decent price. It looks great. They've done a good job with the presentation, and the core gameplay loop isn't bad at all. Okay, and the last game I looked at this month was Anthology of Fear. Now, this released on the 4th of October 2023 on Xbox, developed by Odia Studio, 100 Games, and published by Ultimate Games, who were kind of sent me a copy to play the game with. So, thank you to them for that. Now, this is basically a horror walking sim game. You are investigating your brother's disappearance, and basically no one's been able to locate him, and you're solving this mystery on your own. Now, like I say, it's basically a walking simulator game. There's no sort of fighting or anything in that sort of sense. Graphically, do you know what? It doesn't look bad at all for a walking sim horror game. There are a dime a dozen nowadays, these sort of horror games on Xbox and other consoles, and a lot of the time the graphics are average at best. Like, they're not great, they look rough, low quality and stuff like that. Or they're ports of like very old Steam games just to make a quick buck. This one looks pretty decent. Like I say, I can't complain about the graphics in it. I think it came out on PC earlier this year as well, so like I say, it's a more modern game. Atmosphere, very creepy. The environments are creepy. There are jump scares like throughout the game. Some of them are a bit expected, but there are a few that I'd sort of went, ooh, God, I wasn't expecting that. Now, what lets this game down is the controls. They are odd, and it doesn't really explain to you what all the buttons do and everything like that. So you have to sort of mess around to figure it out. And that's a big killer out the gate for sort of getting you invested in the atmosphere and stuff. It pulls you out when you're having to fight with controls and stuff like that. But overall, like I say, the game isn't bad. Like, it's set over a variety of different chapters, and it does go into some quite dark stuff. Like, so if you're into your games that delve more into like suicide and stuff like that, then you'll probably enjoy this. Obviously, some of the themes may not be for everyone. If you're one of those people in like a bad state of mind, the sort of heavier topics weigh on you and affect you in a negative way, I'd definitely recommend avoiding it. But I don't want to go into too much without spoiling the game. It's not the longest of games either. Like I say, you'll get through it relatively quickly in a few hours. I wouldn't say it's super, super long, but it wasn't a bad price. Like I say, for like a 2 to 3 hour game, it's priced at £7.49. Now on Xbox, it's playable on Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S consoles. I've seen some people say it's a bit buggy on Xbox One. I only played this on my Series X, and I didn't come into anything crazy, any issues or anything like that. But, like I say, it is a short, basically horror walking sim game, so just bear that in mind if you're interested. But at least the presentation is pretty decent. It's just marred by dodgy controls that aren't fully explained as well as you'd want them to be. But other than that, it's definitely worth checking out, especially around like the spooky season. I'd put it on like a streamer's list to play on a stream or something like that. So that was my second half of November 2023 review roundup. Which game stood out to you? Let me know in the comments below. hit that like button, hit subscribe, become a channel member for only 99p a month. It really helps us out. And like I say, keep checking out the channel. We've got a host of content coming through December, so there'll still be reviews, just on a lighter schedule. There'll still be game streams, and we've got our final podcast of the year on Saturday, the 9th of December, 8 p.m. GMT. It's our big Game of the Year special. We'll be talking about the Keeleys, plus we'll be doing our Game of the Year nominations and having a bit of fun with it, with some old faces that you probably haven't seen on the channel in a little while. So you want to check that out. Thank you for watching, and thank you for watching all our other content as well. We've had a fantastic year. Looking forward to 2024. It's going to be absolutely awesome. So thank you, and we'll see you next time, guys.